Hail to the king, baby. Women want him and men want to be him. Duke, it's been such a long time. You're not only a gaming icon, but a gaming legend. Wolfenstein and Doom gave us this nameless guy, but Duke was a character. Someone with personality. A wisecracking, hyper-macho, shoot first, shoot again, shoot some more, shoot until everyone's dead, and then ask questions type of guy.
Let's take a look into the development. I think it'll give us a better look into Duke Nukem Forever, which is infamous for being in development hell for 15 years. To the point where 3D Realms said that it would be done when it's done. Duke Nukem 3D used the build engine, which at the time of release was very outdated. So, George Broussard licensed the Quake 2 engine, and when they showed the game off at E3 in 1998, it impressed everyone.
But was George Broussard happy? Nope, he wasn't satisfied. They had to go bigger.
Then Epic Games released the Unreal Engine, which was more realistic than the Quake 2 engine. So they made the switch to the Unreal Engine because they were having difficulty rendering the Nevada desert. Broussard said that the game wouldn't be significantly delayed, but one of the game programmers actually said that they had to scrap everything and start over.
There was actually a joke going around 3D Realms where they would try and stop Broussard from seeing a new game because he would want to incorporate those new elements into Duke Nukem Forever, which kinda makes me wonder why they just didn't gouge out his eyes and throw him in a ditch so they could get their work done.
Then Broussard had the game engine upgraded to add multiplayer, and former employees said that Broussard didn't have an idea of what the final product would be like. So in 2001, Broussard had a gameplay trailer at E3 that showed a highly interactive world. For example, you had to push the individual buttons on a vending machine to get a sandwich. People were impressed, everything was in real time and the world was fully interactive. But Broussard still didn't have an idea for a finished product.
Then 2003 hit. George Broussard and his associate Scott Miller were still funding the game out of their own pocket. This has been 6 years at this point. How they weren't living out of cardboard boxes is beyond me, although that's probably where they're living now.
Then Take-Two said that the game would be done around the end of 2004 or the beginning of 2005. Broussard said, Take-Two needs to STFU. We don't want Take-Two saying stupid-ass things in public for the sole purposes of helping their stock. It's our time and our money we are spending on the game, so we're either absolutely stupid and clueless, or we believe in what we are working on.
Well, he's got the stupid and clueless part, right? And keep in mind, this is the abridged version of Duke Nukem Forever's development.
There were rumors that they changed the game engine again in 2004, but Broussard denied this, probably to avoid more criticism. Then there were rumors that they changed the physics engine, and by 2006, Take-Two was trying to get 3D Realms to finish the game. However, Broussard said that he didn't want to ship a game early and that they were pulling everything together. By August 2006, 7 to 10 programmers left the 18-programmer team because they weren't getting paid.
You gotta feel bad for these guys. Some of these programmers only had Duke Nukem Forever as the only 3D game to their name. That's not gonna look good on a resume.
2007 hit, and Broussard, in all of his infinite wisdom, said that Duke Nukem Taking Forever was still 2 years away from completion. 2 years. This man had no idea what he wanted. If he was saying that they were pulling everything together in 2006, but by the next year said that the game still won't be done for another 2 years, get with the program and finish it. By the end of 2006, the constant delay strained Miller and Broussard's relationship, and by 2009, they had sunk $20 million of their own money into making this game. Broussard then asked Take-Two for $6 million to finish the game. Take-Two offered $2.5 million up front and $2.5 million upon completion. Broussard declined this offer, and on May 6, 2009, development suspended.
Yeah, I'm tossing George Broussard up there with Michael Berlin as some of the biggest dumbasses in the gaming industry.
2 days after they halted development, the Duke Nukem Forever staff was laid off, and some videos and screenshots were released. Then Take-Two filed a lawsuit a week later, citing that they paid Infogrames $12 million for the rights to publish Duke Nukem Forever. But 3D Realms said that they never got any money, and it was a dispute between Infogrames and Take-Two. The lawsuit lasted a year and was settled in June 2010.
We're almost at the end of the road, people. Just hang in with me for just a little bit more. God, it's like falling down the rabbit hole to Wonderland.
9 ex-employees founded TripTech and continued working on Duke Nukem Forever in their homes. Then 3D Realms approached Gearbox Software and asked if they'd help finish the game. CEO Randy Pitchford, who worked on Duke Nukem Forever briefly, felt that Duke couldn't die and had to help him in his time of need. Then, at the Penny Arcade Expo of 2010, Gearbox announced that they purchased the Duke Nukem intellectual property from 3D Realms. Duke was saved, and the game that took forever was finally released in 2011.
And it got overwhelmingly negative reviews. No one had anything nice to say about the game. Except for me.
Critics were so harsh on this game, saying that the game is tedious and boring, criticizing the graphics and load time. The AI was basic and there was a lack of cover. Has a hateful view of women, which is played for laughs. The game was buggy and had clunky controls, lacks technical sophistication, criticized the game's humor, and even complained about Duke's personality.
Really? You're complaining about Duke Nukem's personality? And this is coming from people who love nameless, silent, blank soldier number 800,957.
But one of the dumbest complaints that I heard was that Duke Nukem Forever didn't reinvent anything. And these are coming from game critics who praise Call of Duty, a series that since the first Modern Warfare has been nothing but a map and weapons pack that Activision farts out once a year for $60. And the only reason why people play it is for the multiplayer.
I don't care how much hate I get for saying that, it's true. And if you deny it, you're only deluding yourself.
I had said in my Rocket Knight review that Duke Nukem Forever was the perfect example of why games that take so long hurt themselves, and that Gearbox should have canned it and made their own Duke game. That was largely an incomplete statement. I had said it with the logic of anything not called Duke Nukem Forever would get praised. Kinda like how the movie Final Fantasy The Spirits Within is a good movie as long as you take off the Final Fantasy name.
You gotta go in with a mindset that this isn't Call of Duty or a Battlefield game. Those two games have saturated the FPS genre so badly that anything different is met with scorn and ire, leaving no room for any true innovation.
I think that the graphics are fine. They look on par with anything that comes out nowadays, so I don't see any reason to complain there. The sound is great and it fits the Duke Nukem character perfectly. I never experienced any bad load times. In fact, the game loaded very quickly for me. The controls are great, they feel good and have a nice flow to them. Duke turns perfectly and responds very well to input commands. It feels very natural when you control Duke, which is exactly how you want a game to control. I haven't run into any bugs that break the game, although when you punch the guy on the late night show, his neck stretches like Mr. Fantastic, but I found that hilarious. Duke punches so hard that when he breaks a neck, it extends several feet. How is that not funny?
I want to meet the person who said that this game lacks technical sophistication so I can slap the taste out of their mouth.
You can interact with pretty much everything in the game. Sinks, whiteboards, toilets, stuff in toilets, water fountains, pinball machines, pool tables, vending machines, food and drink, and whatever you can find in the game world. The enemy AI is fine. They're aliens trying to kill you. What else did you expect them to do? Sing and dance? In any game, the enemy is always coming after you, but they're just cannon fodder for you to unload every round into. In fact, some of the AI is downright mean, especially the enemies that teleport. They'll appear right next to or behind you. The AI does make the game challenging, and there are plenty of checkpoints along the way. Also, this isn't Gears of War. It's not based around cover-based shooting. And there's plenty of cover anyway, you just have to know where to look. And no, there's no button to take cover. You're going to have to do it manually, so suck it up and be a man, because Duke sure is.
Some people call the writing and humor juvenile. Really? Did you forget what game and who the star of this game was? This is Duke Nukem's world. This is how things are. You might as well criticize Mario for always having to save the princess with that logic.
Is there a hateful view of women in this game? No, there isn't. But let's say that there is. There's also an equally hateful view of men in this game. The women in the game are portrayed as promiscuous bimbos, while all the men are portrayed as meat-headed imbeciles. Mario games have a more hateful view of women. Princess Peach is always getting kidnapped and sits on her butt waiting for Mario to save her.
Duke Nukem Forever is criticized for objectifying women. However, Super Princess Peach, which plays on the stereotype that women are overly emotional, gets a free ride.
The game makes slight jabs at other games too, like Duke dismissing power armor that looks like Master Chief's, and there's a guy that looks like Marcus Phoenix who mentions helping his friend find his wife. Every line that Duke says is solid gold and provided once again by the very talented John St. John. Yes, his one-liners are cheesy and references to other games or famous movies, but that's the character and one of the many things that makes Duke such a favorite gaming icon. At least he has a personality, unlike many of the blank slate characters that are plaguing the FPS genre.
One thing I don't get is how IGN can praise episodes of South Park and Family Guy, who are nothing but parody and pop culture references, yet criticize Duke Nukem Forever for writing parodies and pop culture references from other games.
They said that Duke Nukem is hypocritical for dismissing power armor when the game only allows you to hold 2 weapons at a time and had regenerating health. You know, something that every FPS does and no one complains about. I guarantee you that if the game didn't have those elements, review sites would have criticized it for lacking them. It's either too old school or too much like any other FPS. You just can't please these people.
But they'll go head over heels for the next generic cookie cutter of Black Ops Battlefield duty shooter. God forbid that a game with actual personality comes out.
If you want to talk about hypocrisy in the gaming industry, that statement fits it perfectly. But the story is pretty good. The aliens reinvade to get their revenge on Duke, who single-handedly defeated them in the last game. They kidnap Earth's women to use them to incubate their alien young, and Duke jumps back into action to stop the alien invasion. Also, a lot of the game's writing is shock humor. Things are said and done that are purely for shock value, but it's not as extreme as it could have been. After all, they had to get an M rating so they could commercially sell it. Because when was the last time you saw an adults-only title in a store? I haven't tried the multiplayer, nor do I plan to. The game was originally planned to be a single-player game, and I'm just not into multiplayer shooting fests. I'm just not good at them, and seeing me constantly fail, while hilarious, would probably be detrimental to this review.
You guys are probably wondering what magical extra-dimensional version of Duke Nukem Forever that I'm playing. I'm playing the PC version, the version that was meant to be played.
If you're playing the console version and are having a problem with the controls, load times, frame rate slowdown, and whatnot, that's Piranha Games' fault. They were hired by Gearbox to port the game to the Xbox 360 and PS3. So if you're going to blame anyone for the bad ports, it's Piranha Games. Also, the PC version was patched to allow Duke to hold up to 4 different weapons, so that's another reason why you should play the PC version instead of the console one.
The violence is just plain cartoonish, but that's not bad. It's over the top, and that's what adds entertainment value. However, I am one of those guys that loves movies like shoot 'em up.
The shotgun and the RPG are probably the most fun weapons. The shotgun blows enemies backwards through the air and the RPG just blows them up. The executions are a nice touch, although the times in which you can do it is when the enemy is one shot away from death. But it's a good way to refill your ego bar. The 2 more creative weapons are the shrink ray and the freeze gun, and while they are effective as well, they're for entertainment value and they are fun weapons. There's 2 power-ups that you can get, beer and steroids. Beer makes you tougher and you can take more damage, but blurs your vision. The steroids make you stronger and anything you punch dies in one hit, similar to the berserk power in Doom. The levels are fun as well. I really enjoyed when you get shrunk and have to navigate through the casino in an RC car. They also conveyed and built a more realistic world than other games in the genre. In one section where you have to restore power to the Duke Cave, you have to control an RC car to get the power cell behind a locked door. And in another section, you have to weigh down a shipping crate to get to the other side of it.
What I'm saying is that you have to rely on more realistic problem solving. If you're faced with the same problem in real life, what you did in the game is what you would actually do to solve that problem.
I do believe that everyone who worked on Duke Nukem Forever did achieve what they set out to do. You have to go deep down and look at the nuts and bolts of the game. Everyone else just looked at its surface and chalked it up as a massive failure without actually giving it a chance, and then went back to their instant gratification generic FPS games where the only reason they bought it was because of the multiplayer. Just because it took 15 years, that doesn't mean it's bad. If you went in with extremely high expectations that this game was going to descend from the heavens, wipe out all disease, solve world hunger, create world peace, and reveal the meaning of life, that's your own fault.
So what am I going to give Duke Nukem Forever? Well, I found it to be fun, hilarious, challenging, and an overall enjoyable experience. So I think that this game is a gift from Duke himself. I think that it was well worth the 15-year wait, especially when the world is plagued with copy and paste jobs that EA and Activision release every year.